Hi, my name is Ashley Lingle-Gann, and this is my administrative practicum presentation. Table of contents, I'll be going over my introduction and goals, philosophy statement, major objective, activities log, supporting documentation, reflection, bibliography, and my signed evaluation form. Once again, my name is Ashley Lingle-Gann. I am an elementary education graduate from Northeastern State University, located in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. Immediately after graduating from NSU, I accepted a graduate teaching assistant position at Fort Hays and began my graduate work in the Department of Educational Administration. I have also taught as an adjunct instructor for Fort Hays. Since then, I currently teach Teal 340, the Effective Classroom, and supervise and observe teacher ed candidates during their internships. I had a few practicum goals. The first one was gain knowledge about the admin side of things, mainly just gain experience since I didn't have any, positively influence the school, and then most of all, meet all practicum course requirements. Some just life goals in general. I'm looking forward to starting my elementary teaching career now that my family and I are in a permanent location. I look forward to teaching for many years and reaching an impact level with my students. To reach my sense of fulfillment, I plan to use my education and experiences to reach my long-term goal as a building leader. Further, I desire to be a lifelong learner. It is important to constantly seek ways of improvement and reflect frequently. My philosophy. There are many components to a successful leader. To me, leadership is a combination of collaboration, a shared vision, and lifelong learning. I have learned so much about these three things throughout my experience at Fort Hays and learned just how important they are in the life of an effective leader during my practicum experience. For any type of leadership to be effective, everyone must work together, share ideas, learn from one another, collaborate. Remember the famous slogan from elementary school, "There is no I in team." This has stuck with me throughout my life, and even more so now that I have actually had a part in the leadership aspect of a successful elementary school. A shared vision is vital in any successful operation. This vision must be supported by everyone. Having a clear vision will help determine the goals and objectives to reach for. I think it's important that everyone, including parents, staff, students, staff, community, and other stakeholders, be a part of the goal-setting process. This way it feels more like a family in which everyone is supportive. I desire more than anything else to be a lifelong learner. As a leader, I must continue to grow and self-reflect. The students coming in will be different every year. It's my job to learn new ways to reach them through their teachers. I will only be successful at this if I continue to learn with them, keep up with current technology, research instructional strategies, interventions, etc. At the end of the day, student success is the most important objective we are all striving towards. We must work together and create an environment for students to reach their highest potential. A positive and diverse school culture needs to be established to foster this type of environment. My major objective during my practicum was to work with MTSS, the multi-tiered system of supports. And the reason I picked this is because Garden City is well on their way to having a really effective program implemented. And also I did some previous research for my graduate work on MTSS, so I was kind of a little bit familiar with it. MTSS is a continuum of evidence-based system-wide practices to support a rapid response to academic and behavioral needs, with frequent database monitoring for instructional decision-making to empower each Kansas student to achieve high standards. You can find this information on the KSDE website. Okay, so for my practicum, I worked at a small school named Jenny Barker in Garden City, Kansas. My principal, Mrs. Wakamp, was the principal there, and then she was also the assistant principal at a much larger school named Florence Wilson. So I kind of got to see both sides of things, and she let me work, equal amount of time on both. I obviously did a little more work at Jenny Barker just because she was the principal there, and that's where she really needed help, and that's where I was obviously more comfortable. So anyway, that's a little background. So the major objective, MTSS, I worked with third grade students receiving Tier 2 interventions Students were tested throughout the year. Then I collected data from all assessments, which were given multiple times. I reviewed and analyzed the data. The students were then broken into groups based on their learning levels and abilities to work with appropriate research-based interventions. We monitored students to make sure they were making progress, if they were needing changes, moving them in and out of tiers, etc. Another activity I did was a tenure teacher evaluation. I actually did a few of the evaluations over the semester, but this one just stuck out to me because we were really unsure if the teacher was going to receive tenure or not. They actually did go ahead and give her tenure, but told her, she's definitely not at the level they would like her to be at. Basically, we just watched her work with kindergarten students in reading groups. Also, all the administrators in Garden City have iPads, so they complete the evaluation online, and then it just goes straight to the district office. Walkthroughs. I participated in several walkthroughs this semester. This is one thing they work hard on the district. At Jenny Barker, the smaller school, we could get every classroom done in the morning before lunch because there's only one class for each grade. We would try to do this once a week unless something came up or we had a short week. If the students were in groups, which they usually were, I would just walk around and talk with them to see exactly what they were working on, make sure the objectives were posted, things like that. I sit on an IEP staffing meeting. I sit on several of these, but this one stuck out to me because this student has already been retained 1 year, and he's now in the same class as his little sister, so the little sister makes fun of him and thinks she's smarter than him, and the list goes on and on. So he's not progressing and having lots of problems. So we just basically were discussing the options with the mother. Formative testing. We did a lot of this before the state assessments. I worked with third grade students who received a read aloud on formative and state assessments. And like I said, I participated in several of the formative tests like this one whenever we were preparing. Goal setting. After the formative tests are complete, we went over the scores with each student and then set goals with them for state assessments. The students actually came up with their own goals, and then we just helped them come up with strategies on how to get there and what they can do at home. I thought this was really neat because most principals don't have time to do this with their students. But since this is such a small school with only 20 or so students in each class, it was easy to do, especially since I halved them with her. SAT team meetings. I participated on the SAT team and helped on changes to the team for the upcoming year. We condensed the forms and made them much more practical and easier to fill out. Also incorporated the MTSS on the forms and some other minor changes. Class schedules. I had the privilege of working on the class schedules at Florence Wilson. This was quite the headache. With 4 classrooms for each grade at Florence Wilson, it gets really complicated to make sure that the schedules, the lunches and the recess and everything adds up. The district also shares coaches and teachers for the specials, to make sure they get full time, so that was kind of rough working with the other schools. It was a good experience because it was very eye-opening. Fundraiser, Dine and Donate. I worked with Lone Star Steakhouse on a fundraiser for Jenny Barker. They had a Dine and Donate night for our students and families. I created a flyer for them to present to receive a donation of 15% of their total meal cost. We advertised this on the school website and basically just spread it by word of mouth. State assessment parent letters. I thought this was neat at Florence Wilson. I worked with the third grade teachers to write a letter to parents asking them to write a letter of encouragement to their child. The students opened their letters the morning of the state assessments. I really think this made a difference on the kids. Because the teachers were already so busy, I typed the letter and addressed and stuffed the envelopes for them. PTO meetings. I attended all PTO meetings. They met every third Monday of the month. They were usually there for more than an hour, and we had about 10 parents show up on average. We discussed calendar events, fundraisers, Teacher Appreciation Week. For Teacher Appreciation Week, they had food catered for teachers all week for lunch, so that was so nice, I thought. And then they just talked about any teacher requests, yearbook, things like that. And basically I was just there for support. Grade level meetings at Florence Wilson. We spent a lot of time on this. They were held every Thursday afternoon for every class, K through 4. And the teachers just basically discussed everything from concerns to the new curriculum coming in the new year, just to any concerns they were having in the classroom. State assessments. We spent a lot of time on this also. During the state assessments in March and April, we had several students who were required to have read-alouds or just acquire an environment to test in. We pulled the kids and the administrators led this part of the test. That way teachers and paras could be in the room with the majority of the classes. We went through ethics training prior to testing and had a really great experience. Both schools did well in math and reading. We were extremely proud. For teacher interview, I was required to interview a special ed teacher for my school law class this semester, so I just did this during my practicum hours and use it as a learning experience. I asked questions directly related to leadership, and I learned more about what the teachers expected and some areas of improvement. We had several discipline issues. This was kind of a fun part. With the elementary students at Florence Wilson, Mrs. Waycamp and I handled all issues, as she is assistant principal there. There are over 400 K through 4 students there, so we had quite a few more students in the office compared to Jenny Barker. We handled all issues differently depending on each individual basis. In some cases, we called parents on the phone. We sent some of them to timeout room. Others received lectures. Every issue is well documented into the computer for every child. Nothing serious this semester, mainly just pushing and shoving, talking out in class, drawing unnecessary pictures, using inappropriate language at school. Secondary, I did a teacher evaluation, a track meet, walkthroughs, and a staff meeting, and then observed a math class. I did this all in one day. I just, we set me up with the high school principal and went through, and he basically had it all lined up for me, so that was very nice. District, I was on the first one was a board meeting that I attended. This particular board meeting was focused on the transportation department for the upcoming school year. The district had contracted a company to come up with new school boundaries. The boundaries did not match up correctly, so they are having to readjust, and we're hoping to get some money back that they paid. And then I was on the elementary instruction board. We basically, I served as a committee member, and we basically had to come up with a budget at 98%, so we had to cut $203,000. We worked together and decided to cut 3 teacher salaries and move the writing curriculum in with the new reading curriculum, which would save some money, and cut the new classroom funding. We met every other Tuesday. Then we had to come up with our proposal. After we came up with that, we had to present it to the superintendent, make sure they didn't want to make any changes before presenting to the school board and all other committees. It was just a quick meeting, as everyone has done this before. And then we had the big proposal. After it was approved, we had to present to all other committees and the school board. Every committee had 15 minutes to present the PowerPoint, explaining why they need to be funded at 100% and how important their part is. And then at the end, everybody rated what they thought. District-wide special schedule. This was a meeting with the deputy superintendent. We went over the schedules for each school. The district shares specials teachers. They usually go to multiple schools per week. This way, or they are full-time. This way they are full-time, especially at the really small schools. Then we basically had to coordinate with the other principals we were sharing with. This was crazy because I had no idea how much time and effort went into this. And then my supporting documentation. There's a few links you have to click on. This was a little picture of a little boy who was having to call his mom. I thought it was kind of funny. This is my principal and I, Mrs. Waycamp, and this is a link to the reference letter she wrote me. It was very sweet. Reflection and bibliography and my signed evaluation form. Thank you very much for watching.